My little TV dinner table here.
Not like the industrial. Okay, still my Simsbury.
Yeah.
Women are much more effective yellers.
Generally
Generally
speaking. This
speaking.
afternoon because I didn't think I'd get a chance.
That's me.
Thanks.
That's very cool.
It is pretty cool.
And it just vibrates, it doesn't actually ring.
It'll vibrate. It won't. Because you
Of course, in about 10 minutes, you'll be like, I know.
it'll only
Grab my.
do not disturb. These things will vibrate. Everything else will.
Tom, you know they call us great mysteries. You didn't know that? No, I didn't know that. I got nothing. It's kind of sort of works. I wanted you to I really should. That's why I would love that. Yeah, oh.
She does.
Well, this is.
Everything's different. So, where are the dogs?
How are you? Good?
Oh, yeah, no, you did, right? That's like video comments, which you can only do on Wi-Fi. And which number do you use? That number is that a picture? Not even a picture. Then you gotta make sure to turn it off. You gotta have a video picture.
Spun it around too many times. I think any chairs. Although I had Lisa do that once for like 3 minutes.
How are you?
It wasn't a joke. I thought it would actually move.
So congratulations, by the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, I gotta upgrade my mindset. You're gonna love it.
And I
Yeah, we might want to do that.
I'm gonna.
I don't know what's sort of. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you can put that there and you can connect yourself.
Oh, I thought you were by me, sorry. Yeah, to remember.
I know.
Nice to see you. I'm trying to figure out my new dog. Only 6. I think I have. Oh. That was a... Get started. Okay, everybody ready?
There you go.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting for Monday, July 8th. All rise, please, as we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
The United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we begin tonight's meeting, I just wanted to take a moment to ask for a moment of silence to recognize a former selectman, Jack Bannon, who just lost his life. He was a selectman, he was a teacher, he was a public servant, he believed in government, he believed in giving back to his community, and this year will mark the 20th year that he started the Turkey Trot, which has donated thousands and thousands of turkeys to Food Share, and so I know you'll all join me in remembering Jack this evening. Thank you very much. At this time, I'd like to call on Ed LaMontagne to present a very special award this evening. And Ed chairs the Aging and Disability Commission. Thank you, Ed, for your service. And I know you have your members of the Aging and Disability Commission here with you this evening, so if you could introduce your team as well, that would be great.
Do that first. We have the Zappellis, Ryan and Arlene, Vic Feigl, Michael Jennings, there's Kathy Fallon. So thank you all for being here. The Citizen Service Award has been a program of the Aging and Disability Commission since 2003. The reason we set up the award was to recognize individuals who have been gone above and beyond to enhance the lives of persons with disability and seniors who reside in the town of Simsbury. Since 2003, we have honored individuals who have certainly made a difference in the lives of the individuals I just mentioned, and tonight's honoree is no exception. And I certainly did want to make a note that back in 2005, Jack Bannon did receive our Senior Service Award. So you could see the type of caliber of individuals that we feel are deserving of this award. And again, as I mentioned, tonight's honoree is certainly no exception. So I'd like to introduce Kathy Fallon, who chairs the Commission Senior Service Award Committee. Kathy.
Thank you, Ed. Each year when our nominations come in, I get the privilege of looking through them, and this year I was absolutely thrilled when I saw the one come in for Lucy. It was nice to have somebody that I really knew and felt that had done a lot in the community. Just a few things from the nomination. Lucy Bowman moved to Simsbury in 1958 and lived in town for over 40 years. In 1963, she joined the Simsbury Volunteer Fire Department Ladies Auxiliary, assisting and supporting the firemen and their families. She became a member of the Simsbury Volunteer Ambulance Association and trained as an emergency medical technician. While dedicating much of her time to the fundraising and construction of the ambulance facility as it is today, she started raising a family in town. Mm-hmm. Working as an EMT, she was able to help thousands of individuals in need. Her devotion to the volunteer position was so intense that she sometimes left her children on a bench at Fitzgerald's guarding the groceries so she could go off to an ambulance call. Of course, she made a call and had the girls picked up and the groceries taken home. In the late 60s, Lucy was part of an organization called Valley Homemaker Service. It helped seniors and disabled persons in their homes, taking care of laundry, housekeeping, meal preparation, and other general household tasks. Lucy's daughter Pam recalls how her mother seemed to be always helping people. During the holidays, she would make baskets of food for the elderly and the less fortunate. Lucy is still a member of the Ladies Auxiliary and an active member of the Simsbury Public Safety Board. As such, she was one of the first volunteers to arrive at the high school to open the shelter after our October storm. She continues to serve on the board, ensuring the needs of seniors are adequately addressed. From the nomination submitted by Pam Lacko, quote, "I am always amazed at individuals that care so much about others. Here we have a woman who has shown this kind of unselfish devotion to seniors in our town for over 50 years with no signs of slowing down or consideration of her own needs. I applaud Lucy Bowman and hope to be half the woman she is when I am her age," unquote. And I definitely second Pam's thoughts on that.
Only a couple of words, because that's all I'll last for. But like in the Emmys, I have to thank Pam and Kathy and the Committee on the Aging. And as I was thinking about it today, I was thinking that I really have to thank my late husband for bringing me to Simsbury. He was a product of Middlebury, Connecticut. I was a product of the Boston area. And we lived our first year in New York. So he's trying to tell me he's going to bring me to rural Connecticut. And I'm thinking, oh no, where would you suggest we go? Because I'm not familiar with Connecticut. He said, well, I think we should go to Norfolk. I said, Norfolk? Isn't that way out someplace? I'm not bringing up our family in Norfolk. So then he brought me to the Farmington Valley. And I took a look at it. I thought it was okay. We were playing bridge one night in a terrible snowstorm, and this couple was telling us about this wonderful house on the corner of West Mountain Road that we could buy. It had been empty for 2 years. He says, I'm going to buy that house on Monday. And buy it he did, and that was our beginning in Simsbury. And it certainly has given me a wonderful opportunity to do many of the things that I've enjoyed doing, and I certainly enjoy helping people, and I enjoy all of the organizations that I have belonged to in town, and it's just been a great experience, and I hope I have a lot more longer to enjoy it. Thank you.
Well, don't go away. I'm going to give this to Pam, and I just want to present this to you, and just want to thank the Aging Disability Commission for all their hard work and all their service. And Lucy, you're an amazing woman. When anyone said she was the first one there, she was the first one to unlock the doors of the emergency shelter. And I don't even know how she got there.
I thought I was going to be here alone.
But you're an inspiration to all of us. You look out for others. You're always there to help someone, and we're just blessed that your husband's right there. Thank you.
I just had a knee replacement, so that's why I'm not so stiff.
I thought you did great. And that's just a minor tune-up for you. It keeps you going. I know we're going to have a brief reception after we finish our work here, but I know the Aging Disability want to honor Lucy, so feel free to stay, or if you'd like to head out. I know there's a celebration. Just save us a piece of cake, if you could.
See, half the place is going to clear out now.
I know. And thank you. And I want to thank the board. We're trying to accommodate everyone's schedule, so we have some quick updates before we get into any action items. The next is a quick update from Bob Hensley, who's going to tell us about the remaining concerts, which of course include the Hartford Symphony concerts on July 12th, 19th, and 26th, and the Emmylou Harris and Rodney Crowell concert on July 16th, and Peter Frampton on August 7th. So welcome, Bob.
Thank you. I have something I printed out. I don't know if this was passed out to the board, but it was copied, so I just don't know what got to you. But this is a debrief of our breakdown, our debrief of the Harry Connick concert. What we do is weekly, following an event. We normally have meetings on Fridays to review what's going on for the week and so forth, but certainly after Harry Connick, because there were so many moving parts, we did we did have a special debrief session before our board meeting last week. So what I did was I captured, if the best I could, all of the thoughts and comments from that concert, because these are self-produced concerts. The producer and the promoter are actually Bushnell Management, as you know, and Premier Concerts, but we're the venue, and so we have a major element in the production of those events. So this is a debrief. What you'll see on there, and I tried to, if I didn't give you the copy I wrote on, which I probably did, is it on the back of one of the copies? Oh, no, I have it here. Thank you. So what I tried to do is highlight, there's a number of things there, but I thought I'd just highlight a couple that you might want to focus on. Some of them are very simple fixes, just things that we need to do logistically to do things a little bit better. We had an incredible event. If you were at the Harry Connick concert, you know it was just a wonderful night. And we had, it's hard to put a fix on the numbers, but we did have about 4,200 paid non-comped tickets that were sold for that event, which places about between 5,500 and 6,000 people on the field. The police were wonderful. USA Security was great. Those are things that are highlighted. We need more volunteers. I guess if I could, kind of put an ad out for any kind of mass, please go on the website. Please download the volunteer form, and please fill it out and send it to Tom Vincent over at the Performing Arts Center. We do, Tim Push is the head of on the board of the volunteers. We do need more volunteers. We have a lot of volunteers, but it takes a lot of hands to do that. And we're also going to make some changes to the way we handle the concessions. Although I didn't have a lot of complaints, actually, but it was busy, I'll call it, for concessions, and that was the first event where we've actually produced all of the concessions. Those events, those private events that we put on are no BYOB, as you know. The symphony events, as may other events be, is a BYOB. You can bring your own food in, so the vending is a lot less stressful. But that was a good thing. We're going to fix some badges. I just put some notes on here. We're going to look at a software program called Sign Up Genius, which will help us with the volunteers. I've heard it's a wonderful program. Signage for food and beverage will be a little different for this next one. Things will be spread out a little better. Wristbands, like you get at Rensselaer Field for beer and wine, will be more accessible, not buried in the line to get beer and wine. I mentioned USA Security was great. And we do still have to, and the promoter was concerned, the symphony's been concerned for years, we do need to be concerned about security of the venue. By that, I don't mean like some problem. I mean the ability for people to not pay and to actually watch and enjoy the facility without paying. It's a little bit of a challenge, and it is for both the symphony and private promoters. It's something that we just don't have a very good handle on down there right now. As you know, the fencing that's there for the season is very minimal. So we're trying to address that. We're not going to be able to do anything about it this year, really, other than to maybe kind of keep people from just wandering around. But the venue is actually owned by the promoters and by the symphony during the time that they're performing. So we have to kind of be respectful of their interest in trying to secure the place. As I said, I'm just here to give you an update. Things have been very good. It's very positive. If you go on, interestingly, I don't know if you've done this, but you can go on Ticketmaster and you can look at the Harry Connick event. And you can see and download posts from that event. It's kind of interesting to see, it's a little scary when if you're me and you open it up for the first time, but it's incredibly positive. And if you look at them, there were over 50 posts over a week ago when I looked last. I haven't looked at it lately, but there were over 50 posts. I'd say 2 or 3 had some concern about they didn't know exactly where to park, or they'd never been to the venue before. There were a lot of posts from New York and Massachusetts, which is interesting. So our footprint is getting bigger, and a lot of people had never been here before. I will report to you that in a gathering of Harry Connick and his agent, the promoter, Bushnell Management, the booking agency and all the backstage people with Harry Connick after the show, they all had a great time. They thought it's an incredible venue, and they really were pleased with what they call backstage, which is all the production stuff in the back. They're less concerned, but the promoter's concerned with some of the front stage. That would be concessions and all that stuff, but no different than our concerns. But the group left here very, very positively. And he had his family here, as you know, probably, and his mother and father. So there were a lot of critics available to give comment. Things have been very good, as I mentioned. Harry Connick's very successful. The Symphony's had 2 concerts. Most of you know that if you're not already there. If you're not, you should be there. They had 2 concerts. The one was a little bit at risk, but actually came through. No rain. Somehow storms decided to go left and right of us. And so there was a nice evening with about 2,500 people there. It was great. It looked very nice. They did a great job. That was the Mozart night. Had a wonderful fireworks display. The fireworks display was off of the Simscroft facility, which everybody really loved. So the next week, which was this past week, for the 4th of July, which was on Wednesday, the 4th of July concert, which had over 8,000 people there. That concert, we did have the fireworks again from that place because everyone can see them. Interestingly enough, we punish the people who have paid a lot of money and have front tables by not allowing them to see over the band shell to see the fireworks if they're back here. So we're trying to address that. But the Symphony, I think, was very pleased with last week, and we're anxious about the next 3 concerts. We want them to go well. We hope everybody comes out. We also have Emmylou Harris coming next Tuesday night, and so we want everyone to make every effort they can to go out and enjoy that. And also Peter Frampton's August 7th, so you don't want to forget those. We had some lofty goals for this year. We're off to a good start. As I said, Emmylou Harris is next week. I can tell you, although finances are a moving target, as you know, as you can imagine, we did bring over $52,000 of revenue into the event when we allocate some of our sponsor. We've brought in more money than that, but we only allocate to each private concert a third of the sponsor revenue. So when you look at the sponsor revenue, our concession, beer and wine and sodas and water, and our share of, if you will, the town's share of food, we brought in over $52,000 of gross revenue. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, Keith Marler from Premier Concerts, someone from Bushnell Management, and Tom Vincent are meeting. If I can get to the meeting, I'm going to be there, but they're going to exchange checks. Our check to them for their share of the concession, and their check to us for our share of the tickets, which we're all anxious to have that first step go over. And then they're going to go over some of the things you're looking at right here. What else would I want to tell you? We're certainly ahead of pro rata in terms of revenue. Our goal for the year is $101,500 of revenue. We're at over almost $53,000 right now through one concert, private in the sense that it's not the symphony, and 2 symphony concerts. So we're hopeful and I'm positively reinforced. I will tell you, it's a lot of work. There are tons of volunteers. I mean, Tom and Nick, certainly, who are paid staff down there, but and Jerry and all of his folks. But there are a ton of volunteers who I wouldn't even attempt to try to thank, but they're incredible, and they work very, very hard. And so we're very excited about that. And we do need more hands. It takes a family or something, whatever it was. Anyway, so, and I need the whole family there. So if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. But I just wanted to give you a quick update and kind of reinforce your decision was a good decision. We're still working to make it even better.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for coming tonight for that quick update. I know we wanted to get you, accommodate you, and let people know that you still need volunteers and that there's still a number of concerts left. And so thank you.
You're welcome.
For all the hard work that you and the Performing Arts Board are doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Quick question?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to thank you for your efforts. We've seen the PAC board grow and learn and develop, and what you've been able to do. You've been communicating to us and to the public and let us know your plan. We've seen you carry this out thoughtfully, and now we're seeing the benefits of your hard work. But I want to please, if you'll extend our thanks also to your PAC board, because you have a phenomenal
will.
board, and we are very appreciative.
I
Thank
sure
you.
will. I'll be happy to do that.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob.
Our final presentation is recognizing the community farm of Simsbury. I'm going to call on Mark Nolan to help make the presentation. And this is a wonderful award. Congratulations to the community farm. Come on up. And if you could introduce our award winner, that would be wonderful.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity this evening to tell you about all of the exciting programs taking place at the community farm. And I'll begin with our farm production manager, Maggie Saska. Maggie was recently recognized by NRCS, the Natural Resources Conservation System, for the award is entitled Inspiring Women in Conservation in Connecticut. The also runs, the runner-ups were an incredible group of women with wonderful credentials who were amazing, and their accomplishments were quite spectacular, but Maggie came away with first prize and the blue ribbon. We're very proud of Maggie. You have to come out to the farm and see Maggie riding the tractor, driving the tractor, and weeding and working with the incubator farmers. She really is a treasure, not only for the town of Simsbury, but for the state of Connecticut. She's a wonderful steward for the environment, for the farm, for sustainable agricultural programs, for organic farming. I could go on and on. I'll stop right there. Maggie, congratulations.
Maggie.
We'd like to
Come on up.
congratulate you and commend you.
Congratulations.
I just want to thank my coworkers. So I was really pleased this past spring, or I guess it was early summer, when Laura and I went out, and it was a great surprise to have won the award from NRCS. And it's really a testament to my hardworking coworkers who have, graciously said really nice things about me. Also the farm, the people that had the vision for the farm, that really were able to kind of give us the ability to do the great things that we do, and really have the vision to reach people in the community, reach students, reach other organic farmers, reach out into the volunteers in the community and really welcome people to the farm. So we're really happy that we can do that, and we're really happy that we can reach out to Gifts of Love and other partners that are not just individuals, but other folks who are from really wonderful organizations that have come to partner with us. So it's really a testament to those people that really allow us to do the work that we do, and I'm really happy to work for the farm. So thank you, Mark.
Congratulations. Thank you.
I love to brag about Maggie. On the weekends, on Saturday, she goes to the New York Botanical Gardens and teaches less classes there in the fall, three in the fall, the winter, and the spring. So she has a broad audience of people that she reaches to try to help educate and bring them into the fold, so to speak, to help them have a greater appreciation for the importance of farming today. I am joined this evening by a number of people, not only from the community farm of Simsbury, but also from Gifts of Love, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, unless they want me to do that. No, you do it.
The Executive Director of Gifts of Love.
I'm Jeremy Gresham. I'm the chair of Gifts of Love.
And I'm Ron Lacandro. I'm one of the board members on the community farm.
I'm Lydia Tennell, Vice Chair of Community Farm Simsbury.
And let me introduce to you Laura Young. You're going to be hearing more from Laura Young. You got a communication from her recently regarding the upcoming farm-to-table dinners that are scheduled for July 30th and September 4th. And she's been spearheading the permits necessary to have those farm-to-table dinners, and she's going to be talking with you a little bit later. I would be remiss if I did not acknowledge Diane Nash, an important member of the farm board for years and years, and she's here this evening as well. Thank you, Diane. I want to take just a few minutes to tell you about the farm programs, and then I specifically want to focus on one exciting thing that's happening at the farm, has been taking place over the last several months. The community farm of Simsbury is in its 4th year, and we have three programs that are the foundation of what we work on. We have an education program. Last year we reached 1,500 students. Currently we have about 600 or 700 students who are part of our farm camp program. I was there this morning. There was a group of 3 to 5-year-olds. There's another group of 6 to 10-year-olds. They are doing farm-based learning, so they study the environment. They planting and harvesting crops and food preparation are an important part of what they do during the summer. During the summer, we have some children who are as young as 6 months old who come for an hour or two with a parent or a grandparent or a relative, and some who are as old as 16 or 17 years as well. During the school year, we have programs that are education-based. We have every fourth grader from every school in Simsbury who comes. They are paired with children from the schools of Hartford, 9 schools in Hartford, and there are about 800 of those students during the course of the year who come to visit the farm. I want to tell you that the second program is the food security program. The farm, the community farm, is certified organic. All of the produce that we raise is organic. In 2012, we donated more than 14,000 pounds of certified organic produce to Gifts of Love, the social services of Simsbury, Food Share, food banks, Billings Forge, and other food security organizations throughout the greater Hartford area and Simsbury too, of course. The third program is the Incubator Farmer Program. Maggie is in charge of the Incubator Farmer Program. We have 6 young farmers who are just learning, who are just interested in becoming farmers, so this is their entree. Some of them are in their first year, some are in their second, and this is the third year of the program. The farm provides irrigation, cultivation, and training. They raise their produce, their organic produce, of course, and they sell it at farmers markets throughout the state and throughout the region. So if when you're ready to become a certified organic farmer, you'll come to the Community Farm of Simsbury, and for a small fee, we will provide you with that plot, that training, and that opportunity to learn how to become a certified organic farmer. So those are the 3 programs of the farm. I have been meeting regularly with Mary and with Tom Cook. I want to thank the town of Simsbury for all of their support, not only currently and ongoing, but throughout the years, to help make the community of farm possible and successful. One of the things that we have been working on in the last about 6 months, it's really started about a year ago, was we are currently working on a merger with another not-for-profit, with Gifts of Love, which is why Jeremy and Diana are here this evening. Gifts of Love and the Community Farm of Simsbury have had a long-standing working relationship. Maggie is actually employed by both the Community Farm of Simsbury and by Gifts of Love. Her salary is shared by both organizations. I've already told you that we donate a lot of the produce from the farm goes to the Gifts of Love. Diana Good, the executive director of Gifts of Love, was a member of the board of directors of the community farm for several years. In fact, until we began this process of exploring the possibility of a merger, at which time Diana stepped down from the community farm board of directors. The exploration of a merger began about a year ago in an informal and casual way, and then in March it really was moved to the more formal level. We engaged a consultant, FIO Partners and Urashek, and we both organizations have also engaged counsel. The Community Farm has 4 pro bono attorneys who are working with us, along with, that's in addition to Priya Morgenstern, our primary counsel, and the Gifts of Love also have their own attorneys who are guiding them. So the council, we have spent a lot of time working on due diligence. We want to make sure that we have dotted every I, crossed every T. We have developed a rationale. I've shared that rationale with Mary, and certainly that may be something that you are interested in reading through. It's very thorough, very detailed, and we have been very diligent trying to make sure that we have taken into consideration every possibility. We want to make sure that in moving forward with the potential merger that we are doing what is right and what will be beneficial for the town of Simsbury, for the community farm, and for the region. I think most importantly, we want everyone to know, especially you, that both organizations have deep roots in Simsbury. Gifts of Love started as a Simsbury organization, continues to reach out to and help many families in Simsbury as well as through the greater Farmington Valley region. And of course, the community farm has very deep roots in the town. That will not change. If this merger moves forward, and both boards of directors have approved the merger at this point, the next step will be the development of a memorandum of understanding. We are going to continue to keep you, the town of Simsbury, informed, and I'll let you know what the next steps will be. We're going to keep you informed of the process. But we expect to continue our strong relationship with the town of Simsbury. We expect that the name brand of Community Farm of Simsbury will remain. So even though there is a new merged entity, the name Community Farm of Simsbury will remain. We are going to continue with those same programs that I described to you. So even though there may be some legal changes, even though there may be a change in the name of the parent organization, the Community Farm of Simsbury will continue to operate and exist just as you know it today, and as it has existed for and operated for the last 4 years. Before I ask you what questions I can answer for you, I would like to give those people who came with me an opportunity to tell me what I left out.
You did great.
Thanks, Mark.
What questions can I answer for you?
Well, nothing. We have you on the agenda for this evening, so we'll wait till then. I know you brought a lot of folks with you, and I know that you have some scheduling conflicts and people need to go, so we appreciate everyone being here. We appreciate your bringing this intention to the town and letting us know that you have two great organizations that want to work together, and we'll look forward to working with you.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, and I'd like to thank the public. We had some presentations we had to accommodate, and we wanted to do that before we began our action items. So now we'll turn the audience over to public audience. Anyone who'd like to address the board? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to address your board. I'd like to convey my condolences to the Bannon family and his comrades, and to remind the board and the audience that Mr. Bannon was a veteran, a prisoner of war, and he paid his dues. And once again, I convey my sad condolences to the family and to the comrades that served with him. Now, having said that, I'd just like to go over the Constitution of the state of Connecticut briefly. And I think we have, at least 3 lawyers that sit on this board. And if they haven't read the Constitution of the state of Connecticut, I suggest they do. And as we're all aware, it's declared that all men, when they form a society, a social compact, are equal in rights, and no man or set of men are entitled to exclusive public emoluments or privileges from the community. That's our forefathers, the men and women from Simsbury that left and stood shoulder to shoulder with men such as Colonel Milton from Ashford and General Israel Putnam from Putnam, stood together shoulder to shoulder at Bunker Hill. And they stood there and they brought us this great United States Constitution that we have, and later the Connecticut Constitution. And let me ask the board, What do you think they would say if they were sitting here or they were addressing you in public audience? What would you think they would say? And of course, if Major Eno came here, what would you think he would say when he said, I left that farm to poor people? My belief was he was a Civil War veteran and he left it to the Civil War veterans because he knew they were going to come back all beat up, and a lot of them would have bad habits and wouldn't be able to work. And having said that, the next, Section 5, no law shall ever be passed to curtail or restrain the liberty of speech or the press. And then I go back to the one that I more or less lean to all the time, and that's Section 18. No hereditary emoluments, privilege, or honor shall ever be granted or conferred in this state. And that says it in a nutshell, in my opinion. Now, the next thing that I like to cover is back in 1990, we had a fellow, I won't even call him a fellow, he was a coward in my opinion, that beat up a woman, threw her out of this Board of Selectmen meeting, and the woman had enough courage to bring him to court. And she brought him to court. And the court came up with an agreement. I have a copy of the agreement right here. The United States District Court, District of Connecticut, for those that aren't lawyers, that's a federal court. That's not local or state, that's federal. And Joan Coe, plaintiff, versus Theodore Tansey, defendant. At that time, he was a member of the Board of Selectmen. And it goes on to say, in exchange for the promises made by the defendant and the plaintiff, Joan Coe shall execute and deliver to the defendant the general release in the form attached hereof of an exhibit. All right? Then they go on to the meat of it, and the meat of it. Further, the defendant agrees, that's Mr. Tansey, the fellow that kicked this woman out of a meeting, and in my opinion, beat up on her. First agenda. Further, the defendant agrees to make as the first agenda, the first thing on this agenda, the first thing that's said by the public, right? Public audience. The defendant agrees to make as the first agenda, and he's a representative of the town stating this and promising this item as the next selectmen meeting, either November 14th, 1990, or the next meeting thereafter. In other words, in November or the next meeting the following 2 Mondays. Or the next meeting thereafter. A primary statement to the Board of Selectmen in open session to read as indicated in Exhibit C, attached herein, and to the proposed to the Board of Selectmen of the town of Simsbury, the resolution attached as Exhibit D, and to do all the defendant's power to bring about the passage of said resolution, and further conduct all meetings of the Board of Selectmen pursuant to said resolution. In other words, that's a resolution that's been grandfathered in. It doesn't just stop with Mr. Tansey. It goes from Board of Selectmen to Board of Selectmen to Board of Selectmen to the present day Selectmen. The plaintiff, Joan Coe, agrees that the proceeds set forth in said resolution are authorized by law and agrees to bond by the procedure and possess for the removal of an individual. Any portion of the Board of Selectmen or Board of Police Commissioners meeting pursuant to said resolution. Right? The payment, in my opinion, probably could have got a heck of a lot more, but the payment was $1 in the settlement to the plaintiff.
If you could summarize, Mr. Kauschman, it's been
Okay.
more than 5 minutes. Thank you.
I understand why you wouldn't want to read this, but
I'm happy to read it if you
Okay.
want to provide me a copy.
maybe you should read it then.
I'd be happy to do that.
Okay. I'll let you pick up where I leave off. The negotiation settlement agreement shall be filed with the court. This is an agreement that's with the courts. It's not filed with the board, with the town, or with the state, or with the lawyers. It's with the court. And let me say another thing. I can get 10 lawyers together and give you 10 opinions. This came from a judge, not from a lawyer, not from the town attorney, not from 10 lawyers. It came from a judge. And that's how it stands. And I'm being cut off, so the only thing left that I can go to is, in addition, the board shall continue to reserve, no, that's, in addition to and in accordance with all applicant state statutes, charter provisions, and constitution protection, the Board of Selectmen shall adhere to the following guidelines. And in the resolution, it states, right? Now, you know, you can say, you can fudge it or try to fudge it, but I think you're not on terra firma when you start fooling with a court order. I call it contempt. But that's for a judge to decide, not for the town lawyer. Contempt of court is a serious charge. And it's not contempt of the state court where you can pick up the phone and call the governor. This is contempt of a U.S. federal court order, agreement. And you're fooling with fire. And that's all I can say.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Joan Cove, 26 Whitcomb Drive. Simsbury is presently at a crossroad with the Hartford leaving a $1.6 million shortfall in the budget, and this administration continues to give a large portion of our taxes to lobby groups to get reelected. The Main Street Partnership is a nonprofit organization that assists the businesses in the center zone. Although they have continued to work with these select businesses, they should not be afforded $50,000 of taxpayer money year after year. WFSB reported the Hartford Financial Services Group, dubbed one of the state's biggest insurance company, is closing its 33-acre campus off Hop Meadow Street and is relocating roughly 1,500 employees to offices in Hartford and Windsor over the next 2 years. The deficit to the grand list will be $1.6 million. This administration has used tax dollars to study and study without any results. The Board of Education has declining enrollment year after year, with fewer children participating in athletic events, leaving a shortfall in the revenue stream for athletic programs. The golf course has lost money year after year, and this administration has to decide the future administration of the golf course. According to testimony given to the Board of Finance at their June 18, 2013 meeting, Jerry Toner, director of the farm, stated the golf course is losing money. Toner stated that golf is the largest revenue stream at the farms, with golf becoming more competitive year after year. Specials, such as this Save Now deals, through the Hartford Courage, giving 50% off the golf course, is used mostly by non-residents. What is the cost to the Simsbury taxpayer for each of these specials, and how many non-residents use these coupons and return to play? There have been promotions giving non-resident fees equal to residents. There have been deficits of $92,000 and $82,000 of golf revenue picked up by Simsbury taxpayers, and this year there will be a deficit too. It was stated that 50% of the golf rounds are used by non-residents, having the Simsbury taxpayers paying for non-residents to use our taxpayers' subsidized golf course. Most people who buy homes in Simsbury are more interested in the school system than paying taxes for non-residents to use our golf course. Toner stated that resident rounds of golf are down substantially. It is time that this board decides whether Simsbury taxpayers can or should support a golf course that is losing money year after year. The golf course is no longer a treasure. and a burden on taxpayers of Simsbury. We can no longer have self-serving golf lobbyists insist on the status quo. The Board of Education has projected that this year there will be 88 fewer students enrolled in the schools and a projection of continued reduction in enrollment year after year. This production of fewer students is also reflected in youth hockey, with fewer teams and less ice time at Simsbury Farms Ice Rink. There have been no swim fee increases in the last 3 years, although costs have been going up year after year. The highest fee increases were placed on the paddle players, since they do not have a lobbying group to demand lower fees, as do the hockey and golf groups. Has anyone asked Tona what the overhead costs are for each round of golf? What are the overhead costs for each person at the skating rink? It is time that this administration review all the recreational activities at the farms and demand a cost-benefit analysis on all activities at the farms. This administration should have an independent audit of Simsbury Farms. There has been much discussion on the June 22nd Harry Connick Jr. concert at the Performing Arts. Many people were concerned that the cost to sit on the grass was too high and BYOB was eliminated. This was reflected in only one half of the field being filled. I was told that the acoustics were poor, with the sound quality deficient, and the visibility from the grass area was also poor. Simsbury has touted itself as a bicycle-friendly community, but there were no bike racks at the concert for the bicyclists that attended. Has this board received a full accounting of the revenues and expenditures from the Harry Connick Jr. concert? Recently, NBC Connecticut had a story on concussions. They stated that there were 86,000 concussions attributed to bicycle accidents, which is more than football and baseball. I have heard of many bicycle accidents with serious injuries, and although the persons were wearing a helmet, the helmet was crushed by the fall, and they had serious concussions. Bicycling on country roads are dangerous, and at times a dangerous sport. As bicycle riding is encouraged, so too is the increase in accidents. Now that school is out, many children will be bicycling. Both drivers of cars and bicyclists have to observe the rules of the road. Even with all precautions, bicycling is a dangerous sport when competing for road space. This board has been silent on their views for changing to professional management with a town manager to manage the town. Simsbury residents should know the platform of the people running for office. Many residents would like to have a referendum on town manager issue. All consultants reviewing town organizations have stated that Simsbury should have professional management with the town manager. How many board members will have this issue as part of their platform? How many elected officials will vote for term limits? First Selectman Mary Glassman, when running for office, stated she would promote a town manager for Simsbury, and now, years later, First Selectman Mary Glassman has delegated all responsibilities to an administrative assistant and stated that this process has to evolve at some future time. When will the evolution be over and have the charter reflect a town manager to manage Simsbury's future? Eno Farms Affordable Housing Complex just received another 2% increase in rent across the board. Rents are $1,185 a month, utilities not included. How can anyone live on low or very low income pay this exorbitant rent? This is inconsistent with the Eno Trust for the Poor. Maximum annual income is $70,160. Is this low or very low income? The complex continues to be in litigation, leaving the title to the property hostage to the lawsuit. Presently, there are 2 vacancies, and the rents are not aligned with the housing for low and very low income people. The light at the entry to the complex has not been replaced by the town, leaving the entry compromised. When will the town replace the light post? I would like to report that I have filed a Freedom of Information complaint pursuant to violation of Section 1231 Executive Session as a result of the June 28, 2013 Eno Farms Subcommittee meeting. Recently, the Republican Party stated that Mike Payne will be running for a seat on the Board of Selectmen. Is it a violation of the Ethics Code to have a member of the Board of Selectmen with contracts with the town and has rubbish removal for a majority of Simsbury residents serve as a member of the Board of Selectmen? I would like to have the Ethics Board review Mike Payne's conflicts and give an opinion on his ability to serve on the Board of Selectmen. Thank you for listening, and all my comments will be on simsbury.com and Simsbury Patch for your review. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Sue Narzik, 119 East Weetog Street. I'm here again to talk about land use planning. I understand that we've had the Weetog, I would call it a charrette, and we're having one for the Hartford, but I'm still concerned because on the south end, there's the one piece that has always been controversial that I don't think that the owner is looking like he's going to maybe participate in a charrette process. I don't know if there's been anything to talk to him about, maybe to find out, because again, if the Hartford gets developed, and let's pretend that, you know, we come up with a really good way for it to get developed at the charrette, then if you're going to take the other side, not very far from it, and put some schlock in, it's really not going to be good for the town of Simsbury, because I think you have to have a consistent message that this is what we want our town to be. We don't want to lower ourselves and lower our standards. So, and there's nothing wrong with that. And towns that have done that have been very successful and have, you know, increased all sorts of things like tourism and various things because they have some positive things instead of some, I'll just use big box or something. So until that's dealt with, I think there's still some unrest. I know that the Big Y's concerned me because I thought it was going to be dead. I thought we weren't going to kill Bobby Kane's business, but apparently, I guess there's some deals being cut with DOT, and I've heard that that's going to come in. I was kind of hoping we'd get something better like that computer company where we'd get paid on the personal property as well as the building, the one that had initially talked to them about going there. So I just, you know, I'm still concerned because it just doesn't seem like things move forward so that we do positive economic development that will enhance our town. So that's why I'm here tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Let's go sit back there.
Come on.
So often I hear people come and speak in public audience. And unfortunately, until we give a presentation or thank somebody, we forget that the majority of this board serves as volunteers. They serve to the best of their ability to help us do our job. And so I'd like to, one, thank you publicly for your service, as well as people who got awards tonight. It's a fabulous town. And from the time the Eno family gave the town farm to help those in need, initially with the idea of a family member who had specific needs. We preserve Rosedale, we preserve Toll Meadow, we're helping to preserve the George Hall Farm. Your greatest achievement is preserving the community farm of Simsbury. It serves the public, it serves those in need, it teaches farmers how to farm, and maybe it has been mentioned before, but one of the first incubator farmers is now taking over the job in Avon to run that farm because of skills he learned and was able to use at the community farm. It is a treasure, and I thank this board, and I thank you for some recognition. And I'd also like to mention Dunny Barney, who just a year ago passed away. And Dunny was such a visionary and saw and helped create the community farm. And so in his memory tonight, I stand up and thank him, and thank you, and thank 90% of the people in this audience who roll up their sleeves and make something good happen in Simsbury. And they're the people who should be applauded, and I applaud you for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? Thank you all for your comments. We'll move now to our action items of the evening. I have a first quick update. Just wanted to, again, thank everyone for being here this evening. I want to also thank the Public Safety Subcommittee for participating in the Town of Simsbury Emergency Operations Preparedness Drill. We held that drill on June 20th. It's part of our ongoing efforts to ensure the safety of our residents in a disaster. The emergency scenario that was dealt with this time was a severe ice storm in the west-northwest corner of Connecticut with minimal impact on Simsbury, but it gave us a chance to review our emergency response procedures and to explore potential support for other communities. And I'd like to thank our emergency response team, which includes town staff, Board of Education, fire, police, ambulance, fire district, and everyone who serves on the Public Safety Committee, Lisa and Sean, for your guidance as well. I also wanted to thank the Aging and Disability Commission, who were here earlier this evening, and to thank them again for the award that they presented to Lucy Bowman, and also for sponsoring a picnic in the park for Simsbury residents with disabilities. The event will be held on Saturday, August 24th, rain or shine. The picnic's at the St. Catherine of Siena Church, and food will be served from 12:15 to 1:15, and there'll be dancing from 11:30 to 2:30. So if you would like to attend, we encourage you to do so, and if you'd like to volunteer, we also would like to invite you. We also want to announce our new library director. She will start on July 15th. Her name is Lisa Karam, and she will replace Sue Bullock, who just retired after 17 years of service to our community. Lisa was chosen after an extensive search conducted by the Simsbury Library Board of Trustees, and she has more than 18 years' experience as director of LaGrange Association Library in Poughkeepsie, New York. Her goals are to enhance the library's existing roster of programs and to continue to offer events that engage the library, staff, and the community. She has a bachelor's and a master's from State University of New York in Albany and received a public library administration certificate from Long Island University. I'm sure you'll all join me in welcoming her to Simsbury on July 15th. Just two final items. The tax department bills are online, and online payment options are available. Residents can pay their taxes online with a credit card with a fee, a debit card, or an electronic check, which is no fee. You can also make your payments in person or by mail. You can go online at www.simsbury-ct.gov/tax-office to pay online, or you can call with any questions. The tax collector has asked me to remind our residents that motor vehicle taxes and sewer use bills are due in full by August 1st. Residents for businesses who have sold, donated, or otherwise no longer own a car should contact the assessor's office. You need to remove that from the assessor's office so you're not billed next year. The first half of real estate and personal property tax bills are due by August 1st. And finally, the mill rate for the October grand list as set by the Board of Finance is 37.29 for the town and 1.22 for the fire district. And finally, Simsbury just received recognition as among the top 10 booming Connecticut suburbs by Caldwell Banker Best Places to Live series. The award was given to us by Caldwell Banker's Best Places to Live series, and it ranked 1,500 communities across the country based on increased year-to-year levels of employment, unemployment percentages, and other key attributes, including quality of schools, access to amenities, and community safety. We also want to congratulate our neighbor communities, including Trumbull, Westport, Ridgefield, Newtown, Fairfield, Mansfield, Greenwich, Shelton, and Glastonbury, which also received recognition. And we thank the Caldwell Banker for recognizing our town. Okay. Our first item this evening is to set a public hearing for recycling ordinance changes. Tom Roy is here this evening. Tom, welcome. We'd like to set a public hearing for August 12th to consider amendments to the Simsbury Code of Ordinances, and this will include language that will has changed in the recycling world, and also a new requirement for recycling haulers to register with the town. So welcome, Tom.
Well, thank you. I think this has been actually a long time in coming, and this all came about through the end of the CRA's Mid-Connecticut project, which was a 25-year-long project where all of the member towns effectively paid for the bonds to build the trash-to-energy plant. If you remember back about a year and a half ago, we made a decision to stay with CRA for a 5-year term. We decided not to make a commitment to our recycling at that time. We hired MSW consultants to help the town look at what were the best options. One of the things that we had considered was whether or not we should be involved in collecting our own recyclables. At this point, that is not financially viable. Our main goals were to look at ways to increase the town's recycling from residents, find ways to help our residents, make sure that we don't increase their tip fees to their local haulers, and where possible to generate town revenue. So what I think we have here is an option which will allow us to utilize the advantage we have here in Simsbury with a subscription service where all of our trash haulers each year, who are also our recycling collection contractors, would agree upon a fee for each ton of recycling that they collect from Simsbury residents. They would then have the freedom to choose where they would dispose of that as long as it's a legally licensed facility. And in turn, they would give us a percentage of the cost that they're paid for delivering those recyclables. Right now, I think that fee would be somewhere in the $5 to $10 a ton range, which would be equivalent or better than what we would currently see as if we were using CRRA. The added advantage is because the haulers will get to share in that benefit. They're motivated to increase their residential recycling rates. They've agreed to work with our recycling committee, and Lori Fernandez here today. She's worked very closely with that. Running out on me. So I think we have a unique opportunity. The other thing is, in the big scheme of things, we're still going to get all of the reporting we have always gotten. We're going to know how many tons of recycling we're generating. We're going to be able to track and see if we are making a dent in terms of increasing our residential recycling. And the other thing is, in the grand scheme of things, we're looking at total values in the range of $15,000 to $30,000 in terms of recycling on an annual basis. For us to really get into that business, I don't think the number's large enough. So I think this is just a great opportunity for us to work closer with our haulers.
So we just need to set a public hearing so folks can have notice to comment on the ordinance. That's what you're asking for tonight. Okay. Lisa, question?
I just had a quick question. How are you going to verify the tons of recyclable materials collected? How do you do that?
It's state reporting. They're already required as for every ton that they collect to report. The other thing is we have a long history of the recycling that's been collected in Simsbury, and it's somewhat interesting that the recycling rates are very steady. The numbers fluctuate month to month, but the trends are very, very consistent. So we would certainly know if something was awry.
Great.
Other questions, comments? Can I have a motion to set a public hearing date for August 12th as our next meeting? As our first meeting in August. Thank you. One second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you, Tom. Next item is to approve tax refunds in the amount of $2,090. We have a list of tax refunds that have been reviewed and approved by the tax collector, and she's recommending those before us tonight. Can I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The next item is approve year-end intra-departmental and interdepartmental transfers. Marion Harris is here with us this evening. Pleased to report that the town will be planning to give back about $50,000 in savings that we have managed to give back to the General Reserve. We have, you'll notice, a smaller amount of intra-departmental transfers this year, but a larger number of interdepartmental transfers, and that is given for the reason that we settled the contracts. So we settled contracts with many of our bargaining units, also previous years. Ordinarily, the money that we had budgeted goes back to the general fund. This year, we tried to squeeze those savings out of the departments themselves. So I want to thank Mary Ann for squeezing everything out of the department that was not spent. So you'll see that the interdepartmental transfers to cover that amount have resulted in us not having to dip into reserves to take back the money that we returned to the general fund when we did not settle those contracts in previous years. So I want to thank our employees for settling those contracts, and also our staff for working to address the funding. A couple other transfers, and I'll turn it over to Mary Ann. As she said, most of our payroll account shortages that are before you tonight are due to contract settlements with the CSEA supervisors, administrative professionals, secretarial units, and the IBPO sworn police officers. All of the negotiated salary increases have been 2% for CSEA and 1.25 and 1.5 with the police officers. So those are very good settlements and very fair to our staff and very fair to the town taxpayers as well. We also had additional transfers for the library HVAC system, which this board asked us to look within our budget, which we were able to find coverage for boilers and a couple other accounts as well. So with that, I'll just turn it over to Mary Ann to see if there's any additional information she wants to present.
The contractual services account, which notice that was $88,000. $64,000 of that is for trees. The storm back in October of 2011. We're still paying the residual on that because we do have to go out and take care of the trees in our on the tree line, and that has been, we're looking now more, and the storms have weakened out some of our trees. But that was one of the biggest pieces of the contractual services that we had to make that large transfer in that account. The facilities maintenance is on town buildings and open space, and that was $87,000. And the Dewey Farm cleanup was part of this. The open space was $32,000. That's the Parks and Rec, Parks and Open Space. They had huge bills from this again. On the plus side, we were able to transfer from within our department budgets. We looked at them and we found out where the deficits were, and we made the moves, and that's what the bottom half is the surplus that we're reporting. We reported $245,000 was transferred for the department payrolls and settled union contracts. But we had $350,000 worth of settled union contracts. So there was, we were able to make it up within the department budgets. We, $48,000 was in legal, and that was in the labor. We negotiated union contracts, and thanks to Tom and Sean, they did an absolutely fantastic job, because if we hadn't had the labor attorneys involved, it would have cost us that labor line, and we were able to save funds in that line. We had a surplus in the major medical. Again, that's due to lower than anticipated claims coming in, but also we renegotiated the retiree insurance to a paid plan, and that's where we saw our bulk of our savings this year. The consultant line, we used the funds to cover other expenses that did occur, but we did have some expenses there.
Thank you, Mary Ann. Any questions? The interdepartmental and interdepartment transfers need to be approved by the Board of Selectmen, and then the interdepartmental transfers will go to the Board of Finance as well. Can I have a motion to approve? Move that. Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
That's for both.
Yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. The next item is the Senior Center. We had, if you recall, a very well-attended public hearing. We had a number of questions that were raised. We'll continue to get questions asked of our staff. Because it is July and we want to make sure that the public has adequate notice of the process, I've asked Rich Sawicki to put together a time frame. He's currently suggests that we continue our meetings with architects and staff to answer the questions and put together the list of questions for July, and that we distribute those comments and question responses and share those with the Board of Selectmen at our meeting in August. We then plan to put the item back on our agenda for discussion in September. This gives adequate notice to the public to make sure they raise the questions that they want, make sure that the information, the responses get publicly distributed, and it won't it'll prevent folks from being on vacation having an opportunity to comment. So I know we're looking at maybe having the discussion earlier, but I think that after discussing with staff and researching the comments from the public, we want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to discuss the senior center. We have some technical difficulties there. So is that, any questions on the time frame? Does that meet everybody's goals?
I think that makes sense, yeah.
We didn't want to delay it, but on the other hand, it's summer, and we didn't want to make sure people didn't miss an opportunity to comment.
Yeah.
So everybody's comfortable with that process. So we'll just let the public be on notice that we're continuing to get questions about the senior center location, and we're going to gather all those questions. We're starting to have conversations with the architect and with town staff, and we'll present that information back to the Board of Selectmen so we can have a public discussion of that information. Great. Thank you very much. The next item is to approve $4,000 in probate legal costs for tax foreclosure at 23 Mountain Road. This is, we have about 90 foreclosures in the town of Simsbury, and some of these foreclosures do place some burden on the town because we need to sometimes deal with them as a blight issue, sometimes as tax collection issues, so there's an inordinate amount of town staff and time that is unfortunately going toward foreclosures, and a tremendous amount of stress on our residents who are experiencing foreclosure. So we're working both with our residents and working through the process. We did have a situation, a very unusual situation with regard to 23 Mountain Road. The decedent of that home did pass, but the probate, what's the word I'm looking for? Process was never filed. So as a result, the town went to collect the taxes and found there was no probate file that had been opened. So after discussions with town council has indicated that the town has to petition the probate court to open the estate and appoint an administrator. The probate court, we've had discussions with the probate court. They've asked us to pay the administrative fee to open the case, which we will recover at the expense of the tax collection at tax foreclosure. But unless we open the case, we can't foreclose on the property. So it's a very unusual situation. Usually the heirs to an estate will probate the property, and they'll handle all the estate requirements. In this case, the town is stepping in to open the foreclosure process and to open the estate, and we have to incur fees of $4,000 to do that. So town council is recommending that we authorize the approval of up to $4,000 of legal services in connection with the tax foreclosure at 23 Mountain Road. Question?
I'll move that.
Thank you.
Second.
Any other issues? Okay. Very unfortunate situation, but we want to make sure that we move the process forward so the heirs get what's entitled to them and the town can collect the taxes due. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is to approve authorize the first selectman to sign documents to receive $691,666 in grant reimbursement from the state for the Ethel Walker Parcel B open space grant application. We've received the award. Now we have to approve the resolution in order for us to secure the funding. And I'm sure no one has objections to us getting the money. So would someone like to read the resolution into the record? We're all looking at Maura. Anyone?
Resolved that Mary A. Glassman, First Selectman of Simsbury, be and
Bless you.
hereby is authorized to execute on behalf of the town of Simsbury a grant agreement and a conservation and public recreation easement and agreement under the Open Space and Watershed Land Acquisition Program with the state of Connecticut for financial assistance to acquire permanent interest in land known as Ethel Walker School, Parcel B, OSWA-401, and to manage said land as open space pursuant to Section 7-131D of the Connecticut General Statutes.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
That one. Any questions? I just want to publicly thank Rich Sawicki for doing a great job and going after these grants. When this parcel is finally acquired in its totality, it will be one of the largest open space acquisitions by a municipality in the state of Connecticut. So it's really quite an accomplishment for the taxpayers, for Ethel Walker School, and for the volunteers who work so hard to bring this to the taxpayers for a vote. So I just want to thank everyone involved. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item is approval of a modification of an agricultural license agreement for Dewey Farm for land on the east side of Terry's Plain Road to 3 years with 2 one-year extension per request of the Ryan Family Farm. Tim Ryan is here this evening. Welcome, Tim. Thank you for being here. If you recall, the board authorized us to go out to bid on a 1-year lease agreement. We did that. We did award the agreement, this board did, to the Ryan family for that purpose. We did not have any other bidders. In discussing the property, we decided that because the house is unclear as to what the condition of it is, that we did not want to award any farm leases for that side. So Tim has offered to farm the land and to maintain the other side for us at no fee. So we thank you for that proposal that you put in place. Because farmers need to invest funds in the farm, and there's some costs incurred, he said a 1-year agreement really is difficult and would like a 3-year agreement, so that he can recoup his cost of investment. He would like a longer term of lease, and we'll be discussing that with him. But I think that the lease agreement allows the town, as our previous agreements, if something should happen, the town could terminate, or Mr. Ryan could terminate the lease. And it would allow us the time to evaluate the use of land on the other side. And then in fairness to the farmer, we could make some longer-term decisions as to what the town wants to do with the land, once we have a clear understanding of what the condition of the house is and what the town's going to do with the house. So that was the purpose of the shorter-term lease, which Mr. Ryan graciously accepted, but is here tonight because he would like to recoup his costs and ask for the longer period. Any questions on that background? More?
How does it, what would the term be for canceling or voiding the lease should we decide to move forward with the west side of the property and it calls into question the east side?
Well, under the lease agreements that we use, the town or Mr. Ryan has the right to terminate the lease within a certain days' notice.
That's what I was asking.
30
what,
days.
30 days? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And I presume we would be moving forward with trying to determine the disposition of the house and the west side.
Yeah, as you recall, what this board authorized us first to do is to first clean up. We authorized the funds, and that's what we just approved. And then you authorized Tom to start to bid the cost of remediation of the house. And then once the hazardous materials are removed, then the board would get an update as to what the condition of the house is. We really wanted all the hazardous materials removed before we had folks going through there. So that's the process that we're following.
Yep. What's the time frame on that process? Are we talking 1 year, 2 years, 6 months?
Soon. I mean, we're trying to move it forward within available funds. And once we have the bid documents ready to go. I can report back once with a better time frame once Tom knows.
I'm just trying to figure out how that fits in with the lease terms, just to make sure that we're not.
Yeah, I think what our goal was is to make sure the farm wasn't left fallow with no one to maintain it, and good farmland wasn't left fallow, and Mr. Ryan's interested in farming it, and we were interested in having it farmed, so it's a really good time frame. Tom is still here. Okay, welcome back. So, but we're trying to also clean up what we're going to do with the house in fairness to anyone who's going to farm the land. Because we want to know whether that's something that it's going to need further remediation, will continue to be used for farm, and that's up to the public and the board of selectmen to make that decision. So we're trying to run them parallel. We were hoping that we could get it all done so we could just lease the whole thing, but time frame and the cleanup costs and time didn't allow us to do that.
Mary, what you just said is really where my mind went to, of what are we going to do with this whole thing long term? And my concern is if we're going to extend the lease tonight and then change our mind on what we're going to do with it long term, that's disingenuous to the Ryan family. Potentially, we have no intention of doing that. But again, 1 year made sense to me while we kind of sorted out the other half. I don't know, do we get an appraisal on the property? Do we find out what does the town want to do with
Right.
this? Is this, I mean, is farming what we want to do with it? Do we want to sell it and fund the open space fund? I mean, you know, what makes sense for this long term?
Yeah.
So,
We did authorize the 1 year. That
Yep.
was what the board asked us to do. That's what we did. Mr. Ryan is already on the property, so I know he is interested in the property.
yeah.
But again, his request is that he be giving a longer period of time. So it's up to the board as to what your preference is. No, it's not on the whole property. Yeah, there was the clarification.
Property across from.
He's only farming the side
understood.
across from the house, so just to make sure there's clarification.
Understood, but you know, if while we're cleaning up and figuring out the one, if we go in a different direction and then we all of a sudden invoke the 30-day cancellation after we've assigned a
Right,
3-year
no.
lease, I don't think that's, you know, that's a good thing for us to do.
Well, if the board would like a time frame before we act on this, we can get back to you with that. So if the board wants to table this item until we get a better time frame, we can get that back to you. I just don't have that this evening.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, and I don't know if tonight's the time to discuss it or not, but do we get an appraisal on the whole thing, you know, in the interest of discussion from what do we want to do with it long term as well? Do we do that now so that we can sort this out, you know, once and for all versus, you know, renewing leases or
Okay,
not?
so here's what I'll do. In fairness to the farmer who would like to long-term farm lease, and deference to the town that wants to know what the property use is going to be.
Yep.
We'll get back to this board with a cost estimate on an appraisal and a time frame for the cleanup, and then, again, go back and look at the lease agreements, and we'll have some conversations with Mr. Ryan additionally to see what options the town can make.
Just ask for one additional piece. Could we get some research done as to when the town purchased this and its purpose in doing
Yes.
so? And
Yep.
also, it'd be great to have input from the land trust or any other interested parties.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, so given the information the board's requested, is there a motion to table this item tonight?
Move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. The next item is approval for the community farm of Simsbury to hold 2 farm-to-table fundraising events at Town Farm on Wilkett Road. The item is before us for July 31st and August 1st. The Simsbury Zoning Commission public gathering permit application has already been processed and approved. You've heard earlier from Mark, who's here, so thank you, Mark, for that presentation, and also for being here tonight. The town has received formal notice of the merger now that both boards have voted to their intent, and the town will be having conversations and will be coming back to this Board of Selectmen with recommendations from town council once we have formal discussions with Community Farm. But I appreciate your being here, Mark, to tell us tonight about the long-term goals of the farm, and appreciate your bringing your board in.
Mary, for 1 minute, Laura would like to put in a plug for the dinners if she can, 1 minute.
Yes, any questions on the dinners? Laura, you want to explain them?
If you want to, Sue had said that there was
Yes.
a 2-minute opportunity to
Sure.
show just a visual of what a farm-to-table dinner looks like.
Absolutely.
Why we're doing them.
Absolutely.
Do you have time?
We have our time is your time.
We love visuals.
Literally.
It's better than these.
So it's hard to follow someone like Diane who cares so passionately about the farm, and I hope that what she said is certainly reiterated by all of us who work at the farm, and that you understand and appreciate how much we appreciate you and the opportunity to be here. And the Eno gift of deed for this town was a tremendous visionary act on his part, and so we hope that we are fulfilling that mission and vision in what we do. This is the farm. For any of you who haven't actually been there recently, everything's in full bloom, and the animals are enjoying the weather now that it's not raining. As you know, our mission as a collaborative organization is one that promotes education in local agriculture while practicing sound environmental stewardship, preserving the town farm, and benefiting those in need. And that's Maggie down in the right-hand corner in our high tunnel teaching a group of students who come to visit the farm. Food security, as Mark mentioned, is one of 2 major programs that the farm offers, and we donate our produce, almost 15,000 pounds this past year, to these organizations listed herein. And as was mentioned also, one of our incubator farmers is now going to be growing in Avon at Fisher Farm. This is what it looks like when volunteers are at the farm on any given day, particularly as the growing season starts to wind down and a lot of produce is being prepared for donation. We have large groups come in. Over 4,000 hours were provided last year by our volunteers. I don't know if you recognize Dave and Kay, but they are here at the farm often from First Church, helping to wash produce and prepare it for food donation. This is Gifts of Love Food Pantry. That's my son Jack, who's a volunteer and helps out with one of their staff there and donating and making sure all the produce gets delivered on time. Farm-based education programs offer an inspirational and experiential interdisciplinary model inspiring students to make connections to their school, the environment, the community, and to the role that agriculture plays in their lives. And if you come out during the summer or during the school year, you will typically, see a big group like this out at the farm of kids enjoying all the assets and amenities that the farm has to offer, ranging from our beehives to our animals to the actual gardens themselves. And they get to learn and see where their food comes from, and they get to pick it and wash it and prepare it. We do all sorts of neat things with them in our kitchen, making smoothies and kale chips with a little bit of salt and olive oil. But before you today, you have this application for our upcoming farm-to-table dinners. And it was important for me to at least to explain to you why we do these dinners. They support the charitable mission of the farm. And we have tremendous opportunities this summer. One, Chris Prosperi from Metro Beast will be providing food on the 31st. And then Chris Eddy is coming from Winvian, a five-star resort in Litchfield Hills. Both of the chefs believe very much in the farm-to-table movement, in supporting local agriculture. There's Lydia last year with Chris, who was very generous last year and also doing one of our dinners. Chris Eddy also, as I said, loves to support movements such as the farms. Here's what a farm-to-table dinner looks like, literally, during the day. The food is amazing. I hope that you will all come.
I'm starving.
Excellent. And here's what it looks like at night. And literally, there's Mark out in the field. We are trying to, in the process now of raising additional funds for a tractor, because right now we don't actually own a tractor. We are using one that is borrowed. And we just got a big grant from the state of Connecticut from the Department of Agriculture for $49,999 in support of a tractor and some additional farm implements.
Congratulations.
We hope that you will approve our application.
Thank you. That was an excellent presentation. Thank you for your hard work. And thank you to all the volunteers. It's a tremendous effort. Okay. Now, with that mouth-watering presentation, do we have any motions?
Motion to approve the events.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, question? I'm sorry. Lisa.
I noticed that the September event is on Rosh Hashanah, and, of course, that's your choice, you're a private organization, but I just want to make, the Board of Selectmen doesn't generally schedule things, and I know the schools don't, but of course, that's totally your decision. I just wasn't sure if you were aware of that.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I'm not sure that that was something that we were aware of because it was not revolving around a school schedule. Is there a conflict there in terms of the...
You're a private organization. You can do
It's not a
anything.
conflict for us, but it may be a conflict for folks who might want to come for you. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's just, that's a good point.
We'll follow up on that.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that information.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other
Lisa.
questions?
Any other questions? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. Next item is to accept the receipt of a police and youth grant in the amount of $8,370, which will be used to fund a Bowling with Badges youth program. We did this program previously. I want to thank the chief and the department for going after the funding again. It was very successful, and it's a great way for our youth to get to know some of our officers in a very positive way. So if I could have a motion to approve the grant.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next item is adoption of a Board of Selectmen naming policy for municipal assets. This came to us as a result of the towns. We've been getting inquiries as to requests for naming buildings and naming benches and certain items. And so we contacted town council and said, what is the town's policy? And we found that many towns do have a policy. The legislative body does have a policy so that the public knows what the process is to name buildings or to name significant assets. We consulted with the Board of Education. They too have a policy they adopted last year. We noticed in many, our council told us in many cases the legislative body of the town is the naming policy legislative body for all town buildings, including Board of Education buildings. We did send this information over to the Board of Education. Their council said that the Board of Education in many cases is the naming legislative body for Board of Education facilities. So we had several discussions. We then came up with the purpose of the naming policy is that the public has notice that the town is intending to name something after someone, so that they can comment or they can have a voice in the decision before the decision is made. So we included the section that said for Board of Education assets, the Board of Education can establish their own policy, but they need to have a public hearing before they make any final decisions. So that was our way of compromising with the Board of Ed so that the town retained legislative control over the town buildings, and yet we had referrals to the Board of Ed, and they had to have a public hearing for naming of Board of Education assets. Yes,
And
question.
for public hearing, it means noticed public hearing.
Public hearing, yes. A
So-
public hearing is used as a legal term, not just put on the agenda.
Right.
Has to be noticed in the paper, has to follow the requirements of a public hearing. Our goal is to give the public notice of what the board intends to do and allow comment on before we do it. And this is intended to apply to all naming of facilities. We have a list of items in the description, which is all town-owned buildings, auditoriums, theaters, gymnasiums, libraries, gardens, walks, athletic fields, facilities, concessions, and locker rooms. I did speak to Lisa this afternoon, and she asked about other items such as benches, donations that the town gets. And it's our intention that those would not be included. So someone could donate a bench in honor of a family or a tree in honor of a family, which we generously often receive, and we would not require a public hearing for those items. So thank you, Lisa, for that suggestion. And if the board wants to go forward with this, we'll do a draft resolution and then bring it forward for a vote. So this was on here tonight to bring it to your attention that we are getting requests to name buildings, and since we don't have a policy, we wanted to make sure we have a policy in place before we make decisions on what to name buildings after. Question, Lisa, Sean, and then Shannon.
First of all, thank you, Tom, and the Board of Ed, and everyone who worked on this, and Mary as well. It's important to have a naming policy so that we have a process that is fair and open and transparent. Looking at what other towns do, one of the things to consider in addition to the draft is something to this language is used in many policies. The provisions of this procedure should not apply to the application of donor recognition for such minor items as benches. And although it lists the things that it can, it might be worth putting in the things that it's... A de minimis, exactly. The second thing that may be worth considering is that interior features of city-owned buildings may be named separately from the main building, just to clarify that the naming of the outer building may not necessarily guarantee the naming of each individual room within as that, and then different rooms can be named under that policy. And the third thing I had was for new buildings. Most of our buildings have already been built.
Right.
But for new buildings, and this possibly with the senior center, is that we put in either in the policy itself or in the form that's developed by the town, and I'm okay with either one, a call for proposals be made if there's a new property, so that we invite the public to submit their suggestions. And again, this is a best practice, or I can't say it's a best practice, but it's something that has been used by other towns when I did research. And the call would then state a timeline for submission and the criteria. And the purpose of this sort of solicitation is to develop a broad array of ideas and to encourage community participation in the naming process. And that would be something that would be done publicly, so alerting the public that we're going to be considering naming a new building. We invite your suggestions.
Oh, good point. And you're right, this is written for mostly naming existing structures, or, but when a building doesn't have a name, that might be a chance to solicit public opinion. So we'll take a try at including that language in the draft. Sean?
My only question surrounded the discussion we had with the Board of Ed. Was it the actual Board of Education or the folks that work at the Board of Education?
My discussions were with the superintendent.
Okay.
And his discussions with town council. I don't know
Do
if
they
the
need
board
the Board
voted.
of Ed? Do they need their board's input on that? Just.
I don't know. I can ask Matt
Okay.
Curtis, but I think his counsel is very strong that the legislative.
I don't want to get in the middle of the lawyers. I figured that the Board of Ed would want, the
Right.
same courtesy that you're giving us.
Right.
to
I
see a
will
draft.
send this back to them
Okay.
and have them have an opportunity to comment as well.
Okay.
We did send this to the Board of Ed. for
Hopefully
them
they
to-
shared it, but
Yeah.
yeah. Again, I have no issue with this.
But again,
Just-
I don't have anything from the minutes that said, but we'll make sure we share it with the entire Board of Ed after we get the green light from this board.
Sounds good.
Shannon?
I just had a question about clarification about the form that is proposed in here.
Yes.
Is this, maybe I'm misreading it, does this mean that the Board of Selectmen is creating the form, or does this?
Yeah, so if, we brought this to the board's attention just to get approval to move forward with it, and what we would do is we would attach a draft form for the board to also approve.
Okay.
So that the public actually has the form that they can fill out if they want to name something after someone, and we could ensure that the process is followed, so the board would be comfortable. I think getting back to Lisa's point, making sure that the public knows that there's an opportunity to name something before the town goes ahead and just names it.
Right.
So if the board's interested in pursuing this, then we'll also draft the form.
Perfect, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I think it's a good way to make sure that everyone knows what the process is, so there's no confusion or there's no lack of a process in naming town buildings. So.
Makes sense.
All right, we don't need to take action tonight. If there seems to be consensus that we'll redraft the policy with those comments, we'll share with the Board of Ed, and we'll have it back on the Board of Selectmen agenda. Thank you very much. Next item is approved changes to the fees for the bulky waste facility. This is a result, bless you, from the Payne's recycling and rubbish removal. We have a contract with the town. The request is to increase the fees for a number of items. I would ask that you table this tonight. It just came in. We have not had a chance to send it to council to make sure that the contract, it's consistent with the contract fees. So this is just to let the public know that the fee increase is proposed, but I'd ask motion to table so that we can go back and see if it's consistent with the contract. Lisa.
We also get an analysis of what other towns charge, just so that we have a comparison.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm happy to do that. Okay. Can I have a motion to table?
I'll move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Next item is to approve the regular meeting minutes of June 10th. I did want to add the name of, amend the minutes to add the name of Mike Delahanty in the first blank. Any other comments or corrections? Lisa?
Just the E after the TH on the third page.
Great. I had just a quick, on page 3, third paragraph, Ms. Glassman said the board is finally ready instead of if.
Good reading, very good. Any other corrections, changes? All in favor?
Aye.
Oh, I'm sorry, do we have a motion in a second? I need a motion second.
I'll move that.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Subcommittee reports, any reports?
Yes.
Lisa?
But you'll need to leave.
Oh, okay.
Give an update on the aquarium situation.
right.
But before that, I'll just give an update. Congratulations to the class of 2013 on their graduation. It was a very hot but lovely ceremony, and we appreciate the the efforts they took to make it so enjoyable for the parents and students alike, and it was a pleasure to attend.
Congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you. on having
And to
a graduate,
Nancy's
and to
daughter as
Nancy
well.
as well.
Yes, thank you.
Any other updates? Because I think you're going to lose 2 members of the board of
We
the
are.
Aquarian,
And
and
Sean
so.
has one.
Just real quick to reiterate Bob's comments from the PAC board, I thought that all 3 concerts so far were fantastic. Different groups of folks from inside town, outside of town. You know, there are obviously some bumps on the road, but overall a great set of events, and I encourage everyone, because I know everybody here is attending them, folks out there to attend these really fun events and are really an asset for the town to kind of show off and have some fun with your family and coworkers and fellow residents. It's really a great thing. So appreciate all the work the PAC board's put in there.
Thank you. Any other reports? Then I'll ask Lisa to take the chair, and I'll excuse myself, and I believe for the record, Selectman Wertheimer will also excuse herself as well.
Mary, with
Oh,
your
and then-
permission, I'll adjourn after
Yes,
that.
we do not have an update ready. We thought we would have an update on collective bargaining, but we do not. So if you would just adjourn the meeting, that would be great. All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Mary, just a quick question. We are losing our quorum. Can I still give this update?
Yeah, we're not taking any action.
Yeah, you're not taking action. I think for the public information purposes, you can do that.
Just means we can't name a building after you, Lisa.
We can't what?
Can't name a building after you.
Okay. Well,
At least
that's
not
too
tonight.
bad.
At least not tonight.
Today at 6:30 at Eno Hall, there was a public hearing held by the Connecticut Public Utilities Regulatory Authority to hear testimony on the aquarium proposed rate increase, which is docket number 13-02-20. For those who are interested, you can follow that on the Cura website. I was in attendance along with Shannon and Sean. This board has previously expressed its opposition to the proposed increased rate that Aquarian is suggesting of 19.4%. We felt that this was would unduly burden our residents and businesses still struggling in this community, and we made the point that it especially burdens those who are living on fixed incomes, and that this town, as you know, has been very fiscally disciplined. It's come in with budgets below the 2008-9 number for 4 years in a row, and we do expect the same sort of fiscally responsible budgeting from Aquarian. And we did make several requests. We asked for a copy of their capital improvement plan. This board was not notified of the hearing, and so we did ask that all future hearings and correspondence with residents also be copied to the first Selectman's office and then distributed to the Board of Selectmen, so that the Board of Selectmen does have notice of any communications that are going to our residents and also to the town, so that the town can speak to issues that concern our residents. And I'll ask Shannon and Sean to give their input, as they were in attendance as well.
Thank you. I would agree with everything that you've said. I think what's particularly disconcerting to me is the way in which this has been handled, with the absence of communication to the Board of Selectmen. I think it sets a very unfortunate and perhaps dangerous precedent for people whom we consider partners in the upkeep of our town. So I would agree with everything that you have said, and I, again, am against these proposed increases.
Thank you. Sean?
Yeah, and I'll speak on behalf of Nancy as well, who I know submitted a letter ahead of time. We both submitted letters this afternoon because we didn't anticipate being able to testify, and in fact, I wasn't able to because the fire marshal needed to get to a meeting, so I figured it was important for him to get his 5 minutes up there. But again, I echo everything you both have said. The process is troubling, and then, you know, the way the communication that they have shared with us is troubling. You know, you don't tell us 16.8 and then turn around and tell us 19.4 plus 1.8 plus 1.9. I shudder shudder to think what would happen to us if we did that to you folks and, the taxpayers of this town.
Without an explanation.
Right, it's just not a good way to communicate, and the fact that there's no decimal point between the 1 and the 9, it's actually in the 9 and the 4 is even more alarming, to make it 19.4%. Everybody knows I love numbers. That's an appalling number. I don't care if it's $60 a year, $600 a year, $6,000 a year. That kind of percentage is just not acceptable in this day and age from a budgeting process. You either know your capital needs, you know your long-term expenditures like we know, or you don't. But you don't come to the ratepayers and to the citizens of this town, and quite frankly, a lot of other towns in the state, and try to make us recoup for what appears to be inadequate vision. So I remember a few years ago, but we turned the water company over to these folks in pretty good condition, and I'm surprised with the information we heard today and in subsequent letters. So I encourage folks that haven't had an opportunity to comment to please do so. As Lisa pointed out, that docket number is important. You can email your testimony, your correspondence to Pura.
They give the email, which is pura.executivesecretary@ct.gov, pura.executivesecretary@ct.gov, and you should reference the docket number 13-02-20.
Absolutely.
And it must be submitted by tomorrow, July 9th, correct?
I believe that is their deadline, because Pura is going to be taking this up, I believe, in relatively short order. And again, that's important for folks to know. It's Aquarian submitting these rate increases to Pura, who will consider them. So it's a multi-step process, as we all love in government. You got to have boards upon boards to talk to boards. So.
And thank you to our residents. It was a
Yes.
full house, and we do
Absolutely.
appreciate people coming. Unfortunately, we weren't able to hear the testimony because we had to get here, but we do appreciate the fact that our residents took an interest in this issue. And with that, if there are no more comments or questions, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I will move that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Thank you.